Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Hannah Evans.
And I'm your forecaster, Dan Guzman.
So, Dan, I'm hearing we may have experienced some few snow showers here in State College this weekend.
Actually, this weekend is going to be a little bit cloudy. Temperatures will be going back down close to average in the 30s, although we do look for a nice start to March on Sunday with temperatures nearing 50 degrees.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Dan will have all of that coming up later in the show. We have a few nature in the news stories. Dan has a story on a new island that has been discovered off the coast of Antarctica, and I have an update on the coronavirus.
And also in tonight's episode, Christopher Tate will have a feature on earthquakes in Pennsylvania.
But first, here is Nature in the News.
Earlier this month, scientists on a research vessel off the coast of Antarctica made an interesting discovery. "I think I see rocks," shouted an officer on board the RV Nathaniel B. Palmer ship as it passed through Pine Island Bay, Antarctica. The crew were stumped because, according to all of their maps, there was no island in front of them. They quickly realized they were looking at a brand new island that had never been seen before. Capped with ice and snow, a rocky outcrop was visible just above the surface of the bay. This new discovery quickly caught the interest of scientists at the University of Houston and Texas A&M, who have now made it their top priority to study and find out why it is just appearing. They believe that as huge glaciers retreat and melt, pressure on the Earth's crust is released, allowing it to rebound and rise. Samples from this new island will be taken later this month to help scientists understand how fast the continent is lifting and how this could improve models on glacial behavior.
At the end of last week, Raleigh, North Carolina received some pretty significant snowfall. Raleigh received 2.5 inches of snow last Thursday night, making their winter season snow total higher than Center counties. This snow was caused by an area of low pressure offshore that brought in cold air at the surface and moisture aloft. Raleigh is certainly not used to this amount of snow, which caused traffic delays and accidents. State College usually receives way more snow on average than the South, but that is not the case this year. With State College sitting at 9.4 inches of snow this winter season, we are in a snow drought. Raleigh, North Carolina has surpassed our accumulation of snow at 12.86 inches of snow this winter season.
Rising sea levels are a threat to almost every low-lying city in the world. Higher temperatures due to pollution and rapid melting of the polar ice caps is responsible for this. The Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, this year's Super Bowl host, was recently studied to see just how much sea level rise could affect it in the future. The stadium sits just 6 feet above the high tide line, like most of southern Florida. New projections indicate that if the sea level continues to rise at the rate it is today, NFL players could be playing in one of the most watched television events in America underwater. 1.5 feet is the current depth that the property could be submerged under during a flood event by 2070. Storm surge brought by tropical systems could greatly increase this depth, which is a major concern for the near future, with many storms becoming more intense over the years.
Since last month, the coronavirus has affected many people worldwide. The total deaths are now up to 2,118 as of February 21st, and the virus has affected 75,000 people. 74,000 of these people are located in China, while the rest are worldwide. A study of 45,000 confirmed cases in China has suggested that the virus has already reached its climax. The report says that the day with the highest number of infections has already occurred in late January, and since then, the number of infections per day has declined up until February 11th. We now have since hit a plateau, with the number of infections staying roughly the same per day since February 11th. Scientists in China are trying to control this virus with various lab tests and treatments.
I'm Dan Guzman, back here with your Central PA forecast, and this weekend we do expect some peaks of sunshine, although the clouds will be remaining before temperatures rise on Sunday for the start of March. So taking a look at Friday, we do have this large low pressure system that will be in our southwest, and that will be sliding off to our southeast. These snow showers are associated with that low pressure system, but the main snow that will remain to our west is lake effect snow running from the Great Lakes region all the way up into upstate New York, and it will be pretty sunny with those peaks of sun, as I mentioned, for State College and the eastern portions of the state. And Saturday, it will be a little bit breezy with that snow becoming less widespread and only being confined to the extreme northwestern portions of the state and upstate New York as well. Sunday, though, high pressure does begin to build in the southwest, and that is going to be bringing us some temperatures close to 50 degrees. Partly cloudy skies throughout the day Sunday, so it is going to be a great day to get out and enjoy the first day of March. So looking at the weather for Friday, we do have a high temperature forecast at 33 degrees with those partly cloudy skies, and into the night those clouds will be building and it will be pretty chilly with a low of 21 degrees, which is right around average for this time of year. So going into Saturday, it will be pretty cloudy throughout the entire day, cold and cloudy with that temperature of 31 degrees. And going into Sunday for the start of March, temperatures will be nearing 50 degrees with a high of 48 degrees and some peaks of sunshine. And coming up next, Christopher Tate has a feature on earthquakes in Pennsylvania.
Everything on Earth rests atop very large rocky plates that are between 18 and 65 miles thick. Some of these are bigger than entire continents. Now, when these plates bump into each other, earthquakes often occur. But earthquakes aren't the only reason Pennsylvanians may occasionally feel the earth tremble. There are plenty of man-made tremors across the state every single day. But how do we measure these seismic and non-seismic events? Does Pennsylvania even have earthquakes that can be measured? A fair word of warning before I continue. Some of the videos you'll see over the next couple of minutes do include a lot of shaking, so if you are prone to motion sickness, you may want to look away for a few minutes.
The strength of earthquakes is commonly measured using a logarithmic scale, where a magnitude 2.0 is twice as strong as a magnitude 1.0, a 3.0 is twice as strong as a 2.0, and so on. Generally, earthquakes of less than magnitude 2.0 cannot be felt by humans, leaving the detection of those tremors to seismometers. Kyle Hamann, a PhD candidate at Penn State and network manager for the Pennsylvania Seismic Network, which consists of a few dozen sensors across the state, said that the majority of natural quakes in Pennsylvania go undetected by all except electronic sensors.
Maybe we get one every few months, very small. There's a lot of faults, but we're in what's known as kind of a passive margin, so we're away from the plate boundaries of the world, so there's not, a lot of activity, say, relative to California.
I'm standing near the closest operational seismometer to State College, just down Route 45 near Ramblewood. Another seismometer usually rests in the basement of Penn State's Dike building, though that one is currently offline due to building renovations. Hamann tells me that every single one of the seismometers in the Pennsylvania Seismic Network records even the slightest movements of the Earth in real time and sends that data back to Penn State for analysis. In fact, while we were speaking with him, he got a notification from the network that a tiny tremor, most likely from a coal mine blast, had just occurred.
We get a lot of mine blasting events from coal mines. We get mine blasts maybe every couple days. So.
Here's a map of some of the strongest earthquakes since 1950 in Pennsylvania. Of particular note is the 1998 Pymatuning earthquake, the largest circle on this map. At a magnitude of 5.2, it is the strongest earthquake in recorded history in the state. It is also the most damaging quake in Pennsylvania history, leading to scenes like this one, with store shelves in disarray after products were thrown to the floor. Fortunately, only one injury was reported as a result of this earthquake. And just last June, an earthquake occurred to the southeast of Centre County, scoring a magnitude of 3.4. The quake was captured at several of the Pennsylvania Seismic Network seismometers. Ultimately, the Pennsylvania Seismic Network will serve as a research tool to analyze the threats quakes pose to Pennsylvania in addition to monitoring other activities.
So ultimately with the Seismic Network, we're interested in kind of earthquake hazard throughout the state, and then also kind of monitoring to watch for induced seismicity related to hydraulic fracturing and wastewater disposal. Hopefully, if some small ones start, then they can implement, they call it a traffic light system. So if you have earthquakes that you think are induced, if they're a certain size, they'll say, hey, you gotta kind of slow down. If they go above a certain threshold, then they'll shut down the operations.
So while Pennsylvania is not as famous for earthquakes as other states like California, they do happen on occasion. But most of the time, these quakes are so small that they can barely be felt under our feet, or they're impossible to feel at all. When those kinds of quakes do happen, we rely on seismometers to let us know when a small piece of Pennsylvania has shifted ever so slightly. And coal mine blasting is usually responsible for any of the minute man-made tremors you may feel in certain parts of the state. So while here in Pennsylvania we have no major quake action, there is a network in place to capture any that do occur. For Weather or Not, I'm Christopher Tate.
And I'm back here with your extended forecast. For this week, temperatures do look to start the week above average, although it does look pretty unsettled. But first, taking a look at the weekend recap, we do have partly cloudy skies forecast for Friday with a high of 33 degrees and a low of 21. Clouds will be building into the day and throughout the day on Saturday, so it will be pretty cold and cloudy with a high of 31 and a low of 22. Now, these temperatures are a little bit closer to average for this time of year. And for Sunday, March 1st, the first day of March, we do have some peaks of sun in the forecast with a high close to 50 degrees forecast at 48 degrees and a low of 35 degrees. So now our extended forecast takes us through the end of next week, and we can see the start Monday through Wednesday is going to be pretty wet. We have rain showers Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Temperatures will be above average, though. We can see here on Tuesday, temperatures will be close to 50 degrees. And then for Thursday, the sun returns a little bit. Temperatures are going to be going down. And by Friday, temperatures will be near the freezing mark with some possible snow showers.
Well, Dan, honestly, I am not looking forward to this weekend when the temperatures do return to average. I think I was really starting to enjoy the warmer weather here in State College.
Yeah, temperatures have been above average for the past couple of days, and we do see the start of this week is going to be above average once again with those rain showers. And yes, temperatures will be plummeting back close to the freezing mark again.
I think I was really just enjoying those warmer temperatures, but a place in the world that has been chilly all the time has been Antarctica, which leads us back into our whiz quiz question, which was, what was recently discovered off the coast of Antarctica? Was it A, an iceberg, B, an island, C, an old ship, or D, an ice cave? And the answer is B, an island was discovered off the coast of Antarctica. And Dan actually had this in his Nature in the News story earlier in the show.
Yeah, so that island was actually sort of accidentally discovered by a group of researchers on a vessel off the coast of Antarctica. At first, they just noticed some rocks, and even some of the officers on board the ship actually said, "Oh, we see rocks." And, you know, they were kind of confused because on the maps and all the information they had, there should have been nothing in front of them. And this looks to be a brand new island that scientists are going to have to start taking a look at.
And I'm assuming it's made of completely of ice, right?
Yeah, so actually you can see some of the rocks. It's called a rock outcropping just above the sea level. But it is covered in a very thick sheet of ice and snow, so yeah, it was a little bit difficult for them to see.
And that is actually a very interesting story, so thank you, Dan, for showing that for us in our Nature in the News stories. But that is all the time we have on this week's show of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Hannah Evans.
And I'm your forecaster, Dan Guzman.
Have a nice night, everyone.